Welcome back to Storytime with Ted Booker. I appreciate you stopping by. Today we're going to get on to our next chapter, finally, matching pair of pumps. So they're new villains for our heroes to take care of. So let's see what we got. A business card sat on the police commissioner's desk. Nobody remembered placing it there, and it was unusual enough that if someone had handled it, they would have remembered. It was shaped as a pair of pumps and lightly tinged in red. Two names were printed, Lightfoot and Pussyfoot. On the back was written the following: "We will be lifting the golden slipper despite all you flatfoots being around. Trip us up if you can." The golden slipper was an artifact kept securely behind thick glass in the Museum of Modern Art. Today at noon was to be the unveiling of its presence in the United States. In the interim, it was being guarded by the men and women of the Commissioner's Special Department. The slipper was fashioned out of solid gold, so that it was not only valuable, but truly a work of art, unloaned from Piedmont, Italy. If someone was planning to lift this piece, despite knowing that the police would be around, then the chief felt it might be good to call in some extra help. On the corner of his desk was a shoe phone, reminiscent of the one used in Get Smart. This phone had only one use: to summon the crime-fighting duo of Soleman and Flats. He placed the call. Soleman stroked his chin as he looked at the card. "Well, these two are new to me. We'll step over and assist with the officers you have there." Stepping quickly out of the office, down the stairs, and diving into the midnight stiletto, Soleman sped off with a lead foot on the accelerator. Arriving at the museum, he checked in with Officer Podolsky, who was leading the security team. He seemed worried but genuinely pleased to see Soleman and Flats. "Glad to see you both. Things have been quiet, and I have people surrounding the slipper. I don't see how the two criminals plan on swiping it." Soleman and Flats received permission to perform a sweep into the area, but couldn't see anything amiss. The display case was surrounded and seemed impenetrable. Flats was talking to some of the officers he knew when suddenly their conversation was interrupted by an explosion. Panels from the glass case flew outward and smoke billowed, stinging the eyes and throat of all. The slipper was exposed momentarily with its guardians incapacitated. Swinging on a curtain rope, a person dressed in tight-fitting black swung in, caught the slipper on their foot, and at the apex of their swing, kicked it to an accomplice on the far ledge. Soleman threw a bladed shoe insert at the cord, cutting it. Momentum alone carried the thief forward, and with a flip in the air, they landed onto the ledge. The officers were whipping out revolvers and trying to take aim through their tear-bleared eyes. The thieves seemed well acquainted with the museum and dove through a hidden panel on the wall, disappearing from the room and up onto the roof. Soleman and Flats sped outside with Officer Podolsky racing after. From the alley, a sleek roadster sped away. At the rear of the museum, they saw crushed boxes that had been used to break the fall of the thieves. Returning inside, Soleman examined the panels, while Flats examined the pedestal. Flats was running his hand on the inside edges. "Seems as if there's a heating element under this tape." Soleman was smelling up the sides and bottom of the panel as well as the edges of the glass shards. "There's a hint of mint, along with the zinc, magnesium, and sulfur." He squatted deep in thought, then snapped his fingers. "I got it. The panels were held together with foot cream mixed with increased magnesium. Once heated, it would explode, with the mixture would give off an acrid smoke. Well, we're up against a clever pair." He departed with a promise to retrieve the slipper no matter what. In their hidden sanctuary, they pondered on how to find the thieves. Oedipus was wandering around, thinking. "What I can't understand is what they plan on doing with the slipper. They won't melt it down for the gold. It's more valuable as it is. They can't sell it without it becoming known." Perry agreed. "They're probably collectors. There have been a rash of robberies of some famous shoes in the past few years, before we teamed up. Dorothy's silver slipper from the oldest Wizard of Oz film, Prince's lavender-heeled boots, Charles' sequined stilettos, and a few others. Problem is, how did they swap the case from the one that exploded? Let's head back to the museum." In the curator's office, they discussed the theft. Sir, I have a problem understanding how the pedestal was swapped. The curator looked up in surprise. Nothing was swapped. We had two specialists constructed specifically for the exhibit. He passed over the card he had received from the installers. Pedestallers, protected pedestals and promotional presentation platforms. Are these people you regularly go through? No, they came with a letter from the Pederalis Museum of Footwear. Apparently now they had installed many of their top security showcases. Soleman raised an eyebrow. And of course you contacted the museum to ensure the quality of their work. No, there wasn't time. We only found out that we'd be receiving the golden slipper a couple of days ago. We had to take them on faith alone. Well, apparently that faith was badly out of step with reality. Soleman and Flats left after doing a complete examination of the ledges and panels of the museum. I don't think this got us a step closer to solving the case. Let's see if we can get anything from the other end. We'll call the museum and sent it. Oedipus was on the phone for only a short while and returned puzzled. They say that the slipper was requested and sent it under security in an unmarked van. It was a recreation of an Andy Warhol picture done in real gold and jewels for Zsa Zsa Gabor. Apparently, they were told it was for the Lady Slipper Festival, and seeing no harm, sent it out. Perry hunched over his desk. They went to an awful lot of trouble to steal it. There's something more here than a footling robbery, but stub my toe if I know what it is. Oedipus was thumbing through the phone book, hoping for inspiration. If they went to all this trouble to get it here, they are probably local. And if they are part of the other robberies, then they are probably a collector. Perry looked over his shoulder at a list of shoe stores and places who dealt with shoe appraisals. He pointed to one that seemed to stand out to him. A pair of pumps, shoe evaluators, and haberdashery. Antique shoes are specialty. He went to a closet where he had several pairs of ancient shoes. Pulling out a pair in a wooden case, he placed them on the desk and opened the lid. Oedipus was unimpressed. I don't think these will get much interest from them. He sounded almost disdainful. Perry grinned and pulled off the heel. Inside was a battery and transmitter. World War II Russian spy gear. I think we may assume they'll be curious enough to want to buy them. If we say they're stored at Cobbler's Corner, they may even try to steal them. We'll be ready for them, though. Entering the pair of pumps as two walking gentlemen, they were welcomed by the pleasant-looking couple behind the counter. The proprietors were well-dressed and matching in height. They looked like a pair of opposite bookends. Comfortable as a pair of hush-puppy slip-ons, they exuded warmth. What can we do for you today, gentlemen? They said in chorus. Perry laid his walking stick aside, brought forth a wooden shoebox, and laid it on the counter. I was wondering if I could have this pair of shoes appraised. Oedipus wandered around, examining the facility and peering into the back rooms. His training as a policeman allowed him to go do a thorough job, while seeming to be nothing more than a bored gentleman waiting for his friend to finish business. The female ran her hand voluptuously over the smooth wooden box. The box alone is worth a considerable sum. Wooden shoe boxes in this condition are rare. She turned to her companion. Russian wood, about 1940 or thereabouts. The man agreed and reverentially opened the box. The shoe inside looked new and only slightly worn. Pulling out one of the shoes, he examined it thoroughly with a magnifying glass. With trembling hands, he opened the heel to reveal the receiver. Magnificent! He handed it over to the female, who was equally impressed. Are you here simply for the evaluation, or are you looking to sell? Perry seemed to be giving the question careful consideration. Oh, for now, just the evaluation, please. The man brought out a paper and filled in several areas. May I inquire how you came by these? Perry smiled embarrassedly. They were in my family's vault. My grandfather was a spy for the English and captured a Russian spy. Several gadgets were turned in, but he had a fancy for the shoes and kept them. He never wore them. He just admired the workmanship and was intrigued by the concept. I also have paper confirming their lineage. He pulled an envelope that had a official Army inventory from the Army's Intelligence Office. As Perry spoke, the man finished the paperwork, annotating a valuation of $5,500. This is a conservative estimate, you understand, for insurance. The right collector, however, would pay considerably more, especially since you have the original box. The man placed one of the shoes into the box while his companion held fast to the other. She seemed covetous of it and unwilling to place it in its enclosure. Are you sure you wouldn't be willing to part with them? We're willing to give you at least $6,500 for them. Perhaps we can come to terms. We'd offer more, but you must admit it's nice to make some sort of profit. Her slow, demure smile and the way she was tugging at a curl of her hair was beguiling, and Perry was almost tempted. Thank you, but I'm afraid not just yet. He took the paper and gently tugged the other shoe away from her and placed it gently in the box. Walking out, they could see the pair reflected in the full-length mirror. The woman called after them, I hope you have a secure place for them. Perry turned at the door and offered reassuring comment. At the moment, they are being stored at the cobbler's corner until my new safe is installed. They seem confident in securing my property safely. Good day. The smiles that were reflected in the mirror made Perry sure that an attempt would be made to steal the footwear. All right, we're going to start there. We'll do the other half of this chapter probably in a day or two. So I look forward to seeing you then. I hope you are enjoying these. If so, leave me a comment. And that's it for today. So I look forward to seeing you again on our next reading. Be good to yourself. Bye.